Did you guys struggle with putting in 2022? Well, not this year, because I'm gonna give you guys my putting advice and it's about to change your life. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go. Follow me to the green and I'll tell you how. So there's two main advantages of becoming a better putter. The first one is lower golf scores, but the second one is collecting a few dollars off your buddies. Today I'm going to talk about my 5 tips. Personally, the most amazing 5 tips I could come up with that I think would really make you a better putter. You know, a lot of people think, is it the STX? Is it Luke? Is it the STX? Is it Luke? Or is it both? And tip number 5 today will actually make you money, so make sure to stay around. Alrighty, let's go. So step number 1. This is my most important rule right now. Actually, all of them are important, but the first one you need to nail down is speed. Speed. Lightning McQueen. Dang it, I can't even say Lightning McQueen. Lightning McQueen speed, baby. How the heck do you master speed? This is the hot topic. The rule I've come up with, actually I didn't come up with it, but the rule that I follow, and that is walking off your putts. So come around this way. Each step I take is a yard. That's a yard. That equals 3 feet. Now, my steps may be a little different than yours, but you need to practice your steps on the putting green. So say that's 1 step, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 steps times 3 equals 21 feet. So that is how I come up with my distance. That's a good gauge to go based off of, and that's what I do. And it's really helped my lag putting, and it helps me with every putt because I know how far it is in my head, and that's a lot of mental side to putting, and it's all feel. So that is the first micro tip, number 1. Second micro tip inside of speed is when should you go for it, when should you not? Anything outside 20 feet, you should not get too aggressive. So this is right at a little over 20 feet. So with this, you do not want to just blast it by. You have a birdie putt here, and next thing you know, you're freaking trying to scramble for a par. No, you do not want to do that. If you make it, you make it, but if you don't, you don't, and you tap in your par and you go to the next hole. Hey, pars are good, bogeys are killers. The second tip that I have for you is direction. This one doesn't get talked a lot about, but it is very important. If you have the wrong direction with the right speed, it's still gonna be bad. Or you may have heard is you need to have it on the high side. So the high side is the one that is higher. Well, the high side is, it is higher. Technically, yes, it's higher. But the high side is the pro side, to which you're gonna give it a chance for the ball to go into the hole. So example number 1, I'm gonna take this high and have a good speed. And it has a chance, however, that was just bad speed. If you give it a bad direction and you're trying to hammer it with speed, this is when things get weird. So like that. And then you have a 3-footer tester coming back, which you do not want at all. I need to make this to win the 2023 Masters. Haven't qualified yet, but maybe. Oh no, it gets runner up. Let's get into our next tip, and that is, dun dun dun, repetition. If you guys don't know Sam Area Golf Company, let me tell you a little about it. Sam Area Golf Company is revolutionizing the whole game of golf, led by one huge sandbagger, Luke Peavy. That's me. Visit SamAreaGolfCo.com if you want to get covered. Your putter head covered. Repetition, 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 repetition. This is big for your self-confidence, and it's repetition. The more reps you get in, the better you're gonna be at putting. It's pretty simple. I know this is pretty obvious, but you know, sometimes you gotta point out the obvious and say, hey, you just don't practice putting. That's why you're not as good. If you wanna be better at 4-footers here, you gotta make a lot of 4-footers. This would be ironic if I miss this. All right. Repetition is key. If you wanna get better at something, you have to have more reps. More reps equals more self-confidence. More self-confidence equals holding more putts. You start with 2-footers, 3-footers, 4-footers, and so on and so on and so on, to where you start to become a machine because you're mentally thinking, yes, I'm gonna make this putt because I've made this 1,000 times. Now, you may miss, but that doesn't hurt your self-confidence because you're like, hey, I've missed once before, but I've made 999 more. So self-confidence, repetition, you got to get those reps in. You need to practice your repetitions on the putting green to eventually get better and better and better. Tip number 3. So tip number 4, this is you need to have a consistent setup to the ball. Now, I know mine is very unorthodox and very not your typical pro setup, but it works because I've done it so many times, repetition, just like the last one. Personally, mine, I lift the club up and it's a little further in my stance and it's also on the toe of my putter. I know this. Do I do it intentionally? No, but I do it consistently. So I do it every time. And most of the time I make putts. Most of the time. I did make that one. This will help you in the long run to be more consistent and you don't have, say you're putting it in the back of your stance or you're closed one time, you're open the next time. This is where people start messing up and they start experimenting during the round. Don't do that. You need to experiment when you're on the practice green and put in your reps, baby. 2 for 2. Let's go. Woo! The last step, and probably the most important, and that is gonna make you money. That is very important, to beat your friends. How are you gonna do it? Tip number 5, and that is the biggest thing that's gonna help you get that cash. Simulating pressure. How do you simulate pressure? Well, pressure is all made up in the mind. So if you think you gotta make this putt, it's because you already know you're supposed to make this putt. So mentally, you're putting pressure back onto your mind. So this is where you need to do this in practice. So how do you do this in practice? Personally for me, I have found out during tournaments what I do. And if you're in casual golf, you need to find out what your miss is. You need to make this putt and you miss it short and right. This is a sign of nerves. If you leave things short, it's a sign of nerves. For me, I personally grip less onto my putter and I rock my shoulders more. This is personal experience and this is what I have to do. Now, some people may say to grip harder, but don't do that. Trust me. Just trust me and don't do it. Because the harder you grip, the more your hands will get involved to where you can open the club face up or you can close it down. And a lot of bad things happen when you get your hands too involved in the putting sequence. All right, so simulating pressure, you need to do this with, you can either do putting competitions with your friends on the greens, or you can do it with your dad. I know that's what I grew up doing, was with my dad. You guys love my dad because he's pretty funny. Yeah, we used to always do putting competitions and make sure we had something on the line. So this will help you in the long run and really help with your pressure putting. So take that light grip and rock those shoulders if you're ever in a nervous situation, and hopefully it'll help you out, make some money, get into the Sandbagger Club. Let me get serious right here. This is to win the 2023 Masters. Must make. No! And he gets runner up. God, just an amateur. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed these tips because these have helped me become a pretty decent putter. I want to thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I help you guys improve just a little bit, even if it's this much. Look at it, this much, that much. If it's that much, let me know in the comments or DM me on Instagram, one of the two. I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and you guys know the drill. What is it? Bangers every week, baby. Bangers every week. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Let's go.
I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a sticker. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a